Today, El Vasco Aguirre dropped the 26-man roster list for Mexico's participation in the upcoming Gold Cup 2025. All right, as we said in our previous episode, and if you watched it, this is our reaction video to that list. We skipped doing a reaction video on the 60-man roster that he dropped a couple of days ago, almost a week ago, because we felt that he was going to cut a lot of people, a lot of players, and it just didn't make sense because we're going to get a final list in the next week or so. But today, we have a reaction. This is a reaction for that list. Um, Welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol. This is the podcast where we discuss all things Selección Mexicana y la bendita Liga MX. My name is Adrian Cruz, and thank you for joining us today. All right, let's go through the list and I'll give you my thoughts on every single position. And then at the end, we'll talk about which players got caught off. Keepers: Luis Ángel Malagón from America, Luis Rangel Talarangel from Chivas, and Guillermo Ochoa from ABS in Portugal. All right, keepers. I don't think there's any surprise here. I know that some people might be happy to see Guillermo Ochoa here. Listen, I've been a critic of Memo Ochoa over the last couple of years. I think Memo Ochoa is definitely the best goalkeeper that Mexico has ever made in his history. Right? I think it's better than Jorge Campos. I think it's better than Oscar Conejo Perez. I think it's better than La Tota Carvajal, which I don't even know if he's Mexican or not. But anyways, I think Guillermo Ochoa is definitely the best Mexican keeper ever, but he's not the best goalkeeper today. That is Luis Angel Malagon. Um, no surprises on these three goalkeepers that we see on this list. People might be surprised to see Guillermo Ochoa just because he wasn't called up for previous matches, but I think at the end of the day, Ochoa will make it. Ochoa will go to the 2026 World Cup. Um, El Vasco Aguirre just likes making some drama, I believe. Who will start? I think it's obvious that Luis Angel Malagon should be starting, but I know that El Asco Aguirre really likes Talarangel. So we'll see. But those are the three keepers for Mexico's Gold Cup. All right, defenders. We have Jorge Sanchez and Julian Araujo on the right back, Cesar Montes, Johan Vasquez, Israel Reyes, and Jesus Chiquete Orozco as the center backs. Then we have Mateo Chavez, who just recently signed with AZ Alkmaar in the Eredivisie, and Jesus Gallardo from Toluca. Jorge Sanchez from Cruz Azul, Julian Araujo from Bournemouth in England, Cesar Montes from Lokomotiv Moscow in Russia, Johan Vasquez from Genoa in Italy, Israel Reyes from America, and Jesus Orozco, Chiquete Orozco from Cruz Azul. Again, I don't listen. You're probably gonna hear me say this all over again. No surprises on the goalkeeping and defenders. Maybe no surprises at all on this list because let's be frank, let's be honest about this. Mexico doesn't really have a lot of pool of talent to grab from, right? And so I think it makes sense that we see these names. I am surprised. I think the biggest surprise here is to see Julian Araujo, a player who wasn't being called up as frequently as we all thought he was going to be by El Vasco Aguirre. Granted, he had a very rocky season with Bournemouth, a bunch of injuries, and then uh, a not constant performance when he was healthy. He ended up I think he played the last game of the season. He saw more minutes on the second half once he came back from the injury and whatnot. But even when he was healthy, he wasn't being called up, not even as a second option for El Vasco Aguirre. He even called up Kevin Alvarez ahead of him. Um, and so I'm surprised to see that Julian actually made it. And there were some instances as well where El Vasco Aguirre will call up Jorge Sanchez and use Israel Reyes as either the starting right back or the backup right back, right? Because Israel Reyes can play as a fullback as well. So surprised to see Julian Araujo. I think this is great news. I really hope that he gets to keep that spot of the starting right back because if he's there, it tells me that El Vasco Aguirre thinks of using Israel Reyes as a backup center back or as a third center back whenever he plays on that back three line with two wing backs, right? So that's my surprise on the defenders. The rest of them, I think it's plain simple that we will continue to see Cesar Montes and Johan Vasquez as the center backs because those are the best ones that you have available. Jesus Gallardo is definitely the best left back that Mexico currently has. Gerardo Arteaga es un muerto en Monterrey. He dropped off significantly ever since he came back from Belgium. And Mateo Chavez was is still a prospect, right? He's still a potential solution for the left back that has very minimal depth. It's nice to see him that he's going to Europe to play in Eredivisie. So hopefully this helps him get into Vasco's good graces and continue to get called up as we come close to 2026. Now midfields or midfield, right? Edson Álvarez from West Ham, Eric Lira Cruz Azul, Luis Chavez from Dinamo Moscow in Russia, Marcel Ruiz from Toluca, Charles Rodriguez from Cruz Azul, Gilberto Mora from Cholos, and Orbelín Pineda from AEK Athens. Surprise here for me, and I think for a lot of people, is to see Marcel Ruiz. And I'm not surprised to see him here because of how good he's been playing. I'm surprised to see him here because even though he's been playing outstandingly well with Toluca, he was always snubbed by, oh, not always, but almost every single chance snubbed by El Vasco Aguirre not being called up or getting called up and not seeing any game time, right? I think this time around it's undeniable and almost extremely difficult for El Vasco Aguirre not to call him up because of his performance throughout the entire season, throughout the entire Clausura 2025 with Toluca, and of course his individual performance as a midfielder in Liga MX. I think it's totally well deserved. I think he should be starting ahead of the likes of uh, Luis Chavez or Charlie Rodriguez, even though we know Charles Rodriguez is a Vasco must, right? He really enjoys Carlos Rodriguez for whatever reason. But I think again going back to the theme of surprises on the midfield call ups, I think Marcel Ruiz is the biggest one. What is not a surprise, and listen, you have heard me say plenty of times and express my dislike and disappointment on Charlie Rodriguez. I don't want to say it again. Every single time I see his name on the roster, I don't feel anything anymore. I'm just done with this guy. He has proven and shown every single chance had he has had when playing with Mexico that he's just a big flop. Yes, you can come and tell me that he's playing decently well with Cruz Azul, and I'm not gonna deny that. I'm not gonna say that he plays trash with Cruz Azul because that's not true. But what I can say is, with conviction, is that he is a nobody when he puts on the Mexico jersey. And that's it. Why does he keep getting called up? No clue. Why do we insist to bring him on every single chance we have? No clue. Are there any other better players than him? Arguably. Should we just forget about Charlie Rodriguez? Yes, we should. But for whatever reason, this guy either has a great manager, right? Like a great PR manager, great, I guess, representante or whatever you want to call it. And that's why he's here. Or he's paying la torta to El Vasco Aguirre, which I'm not saying that Vasco Aguirre charges, anything to get some game time with him. I'm not claiming that. All I'm saying is I think Charlie Rodriguez has proven now and again that he doesn't deserve to be called up, and yet he is here. It's 2025, and we have yet again called up Charlie Rodriguez to a FIFA championship where Mexico is playing. Why? I don't know. It beats me, but it is what it is, I guess. Forwards, delanteros. Chino Huerta from Anderlecht. Efrain Alvarez from now Chivas. He was playing at Cholos. Now he's a Chivas player. Um, we'll see if Chivas is actually cursed and Efrain Alvarez gets dropped from La Selección Mexicana because he becomes a party monster in Guadalajara. We're about to see. Uh, Stay tuned on Liga MX Weekly Apertura 2025 with my boy Claudio because he's gonna come back and we'll have all the deets on Efrain Alvarez being a Chivas player. Alexis El Nalgón Vega from Toluca, Roberto Alvarado from Chivas, Santi Jiménez from AC Milan, Raúl Jiménez, el Lobo de Fulham, Ángel El Chavo Sepúlveda, merecidísimo. I think he really deserved a call up. He has earned the call up to be part of this roster. And then lastly, Julian Quiñones from some team in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia specifically. Al Qadisiyah, I think. Correct me on the comments if I'm wrong. But yeah, I guess the big surprise here for me is Angel's a big surprise in the sense that this is we don't really see him that often. I'm not surprised because I think he deserves getting called up, given his performances with Cruz Azul, which is El Chavo Sepúlveda, Ángel Sepúlveda. He's been outstanding with Cruz Azul, even earning the starting forward position ahead of Giorgio Giacomakis and Matheus Bogusz in Cruz Azul, which says a lot because Ángel Sepúlveda is not a youngster. He's like 30 something years old, 33, 34, if I'm not mistaken. He's right around that corner. Mateus Bogusz is like 23 and Giorgio Akumakis is like 28 or 20 something. He's not even 30 yet. And for Angel Sepulveda to continue to perform for Cruz Azul and and beat them and become the actual starting forward says a lot to me. He's also been scoring with Cruz Azul. I don't have the number right now, but I can tell you it's double digits over the last football year. So it's nice to see Angel Sepulveda. I think he'll be a great backup for Raúl Jiménez and Santi Jiménez. And I think that no other surprises. I think Cesar Huerta definitely deserves to be here. Efrain Alvarez has been one of the most interesting Mexican attacking talents in Liga MX. Alexis Vega, he was the MVP for Clausura 2025. He's been playing outstandingly well for Toluca, not only this tournament but the last season as well in Apertura 2024. Piojo Alvarado is perhaps the best thing that Chivas has right now, and there's no other available player to trump him. Antuna didn't play with Tigres at all, and it's Antuna. Even though Antuna plays well for Mexico, he hasn't made or earned the spot to get called up ahead of Piojo Alvarado. So yeah, I think Piojo Alvarado is okay. No questions on why Santi Jiménez and Raúl Jiménez are here, and Julian Quiñones, even though we don't really follow him as much because he plays in Saudi Arabia and it's very difficult to watch his matches. I think we don't have any other talent of his um, skills, I should say, or his caliber within the pool of available players because Julian Quinones can play as a nine, as a false nine, as a winger. So I don't think there's any Mexican player at the moment that can actually be that plurifunctional as Julian Quinones is. So yeah, I think, and also for what I know and for what I'm read, he's been playing actually quite well with his team in Saudi Arabia, scoring a ton of goals, assisting. So yeah, definitely a well-deserved called up. So that's the full roster. Which players are out of this list? We have Alex Padilla from Pumas. I think we all thought he was going to make it ahead of one of these players, Luis Angel Malagón, Luis Rangel, or Memo Ochoa. But I think even though we thought that was going to happen, we all knew deep inside of us that he was going to get axed, right? He had an okay season with Pumas, kind of a rocky start, kind of ended up on a high note with them. Um, but yeah, out of these three goalkeepers, I think he's still some years away from getting a spot there. Then we have Emilio Lara from Necaxa. That even though he's been playing okay with Necaxa, I think there's no way that he can take the spot of Jorge Sanchez or Julian Araujo. I just don't think there's any comparison to them. Juan Sanchez Purata, Gil Sepulveda, and Ramon Juarez are the center backs that got cut. Juan Sanchez Purata, okay, he had a decent season with Tigres. I think it makes sense that he gets getting cut. Tiba Sepulveda, the second best thing that Chivas has, and I think it makes sense that he gets cut because he's not ahead of not even Juan Sanchez Purata or Ramon Juarez. I am surprised that Ramon Juarez got left behind from this list. I think he definitely deserved the call up. I think maybe even ahead of Jesus Orozco, Chiquete Orozco. But I also understand that El Vasco Aguirre is giving preference to those players that have been with him at least over the last year and a half that he's been at the helm, or at least considered more frequently by Jimmy Lozano before he took over. So that's why I think Jesus Chiquete Orozco has the edge over Ramon Juarez, which I think he should. I mean, he can definitely make a case for himself. And then we also had Jeremy Marquez as the midfielder who got left behind. I don't think he's ahead of any of these players, not even Gilberto Mora. He's a great player. He's good for Liga MX, but I don't think he's there to make a case for himself and getting called up. But that is the list. That is the 26-man roster that Mexico will take to Gold Cup 2025. This is the list of players they're going to use to face off against Turkey and Switzerland. Switzerland, again, on Saturday, June 7th in Salt Lake City. I think it's noon Mexico time, and I think like 1 p.m. Central Standard Time in the US. And then on the 10th of June, Mexico against Turkey in North Carolina. So yeah, stay tuned because we're going to have a reaction video of each match. And we're probably also going to have a preview of the Gold Cup and what's to come for Mexico. All right. So don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We post memes, latest news, and shorts of our episodes right there. And yeah, let us know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on this list? Do you think it makes sense? Do you think El Vasco Aguirre left someone behind that he shouldn't have? What surprises do you see in this roster? Are you even surprised to see any of these names here? Do you think it makes sense given the pool of talent that Mexico has to grab from? Just let me know in the comments. What are your thoughts? What do you think? What do you think? And yeah, see you next time.